For months, Trump has grown exacerbated at Netanyahu's resistance to ending the war and his expanding military operations in the Middle East. Once confident his personal relationship with Netanyahu could push him toward a resolution, Trump has wondered out loud in recent months whether he's being played by a man he described as a friend. It seemed very clear that Netanyahu was very interested in the alternative ending to this story, which is not a peace deal, but rather an ongoing march of the Israeli military into Gaza. Is Trump being played?
I mean, they may very well come to having to completely destroy and eliminate Hamas.
It's been 2 years. Like, how are they going to root out Hamas?
Well, things got a little heated in that segment of Abby Phillip's show on CNN yesterday, and we'll get back to just how heated it got, because there has been deep skepticism about the Trump ceasefire deal that would allegedly end the genocide that's currently being carried out by Israel in Gaza, which is why Pete Seat, the gentleman you saw in that video, believes that Netanyahu might ultimately need to finish the job by rooting out Hamas. Again, we'll get back to that exchange in just a minute. But before we do, it really is worth getting into some of the newer reporting on the peace deal, which, to be honest with you, already appears poised to fail. And that would be a tragedy for every party involved. Of course, the Palestinian people would suffer the most, and so would the family members of the hostages who remain held captive in the Gaza Strip. So before I get to all of the different ways in which it appears the Netanyahu regime looks to sabotage this peace deal, Cenk, do you want to say a sentence, maybe two?
Yep. So I thought you made a brilliant point, which we're going to get to in a sec, about how do we confirm that Hamas has turned themselves in, turned their guns in? No one can answer that question because it's supposed to be a purposely unanswerable question. But I also want to talk about, and this is really important, is the peace deal real? And is Israel going to abide by it? So we now know some of those answers. So Anna, back to you.
Okay, so look, the plan would require Israel to remove all IDF troops from the Gaza Strip. And I thought that point in the deal was crazy because there has never been an indication that the Israeli government would ever withdraw from Gaza. They intend to remain there. First they say as a security measure, but then you see all of the advertisements for new settlements in the Gaza Strip. They're talking about it at conferences all across the globe. But while Netanyahu publicly claimed that he accepted this deal, he's saying something entirely different on social media posts where he speaks in Hebrew. So according to the Washington Post, if the deal were signed, Hamas would release all Israeli hostages while the Israeli Defense Forces would remain in most of Gaza, Netanyahu stressed Monday. Those who had earlier urged him to withdraw the military and thus allow Hamas to rebuild were dead wrong, he said. No way, that's not happening. Okay, to be clear, the deal that Trump got Netanyahu to agree to, verbally at least yesterday, does not say that Hamas would remain in charge or would remain as the body that's governing Gaza. So like this idea that it's all about withdrawing troops and allowing Hamas to continue governing Gaza, like that's not a thing. That's not part of the deal. But the point is that Netanyahu has no intention of withdrawing IDF troops. He also said that he would not agree to a Palestinian state under any circumstance, which doesn't surprise me. He's been saying this for literally decades. Why would he change his mind now? And that was also a huge part of this deal, albeit a vague portion of the deal. Trump's proposal calls for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. Again, while Netanyahu agreed to this verbally yesterday in a joint press conference, later he went on to say, again in Hebrew in a social media post, there's no way, not gonna do that. Now there's more. So already we have Israel refusing to the terms of Trump's ceasefire deal, but they intend to set Hamas up to be the problem. What do I mean by that? Well, Benjamin Netanyahu said the following. President Trump added that if Hamas refuses, he will give Israel full backing to complete the military operation and eliminate them. So the way that I see this, Cenk, and you gotta keep it 100 with me, come on. The way that I see this, whether Trump is part of this plot or not, Netanyahu sees this as a way of providing himself an excuse to carry on with the atrocities and the mass slaughter that the Israeli government and the IDF have been carrying out in the Gaza Strip for nearly 2 years. All he's gonna do is point to Hamas and say, look, there's record of me accepting the ceasefire deal, and Hamas didn't. And so as a result, we're gonna have to finish the job. And we know what finish the job really means. It's not really about going after Hamas, it's about wiping Palestinians and their identity off of the Gaza Strip entirely.
Yeah, so there's two questions here. Is the peace deal real? And we were asking you guys that on tyt.com and elsewhere. So hope that you guys can vote on that. I'm curious what you think. Most of you think no. Okay, I'm gonna surprise you guys by saying I think the peace deal is real. I think that Trump is the one that offered it, not Netanyahu. Well, that's not I think, we know that, right?
That's not the first time though. That's not the first time. Trump has offered peace deals like multiple times, and every single time Israel rejects it.
That's right, but this is the first part of the question. Is the deal real, right? No. And so if Israel had offered it and it had a bunch of caveats and catch-22s and it was a purposely unsolvable riddle, we'd analyze it and we'd tell you that, right? No, this is in my opinion, it's a real deal. Trump offered it. That doesn't mean, oh, well, then okay, it must be great. No, the critical part is the Arab and Muslim countries, including ones that are not necessarily beholden to Israel, like Qatar and Turkey, have signed on and saying, yes, we want this, right? And a lot of other Palestinian leaders said yes, okay? Now, that's not, to me, that's not the primary issue. The primary issue is the one that Anna's alluding to. Will Israel actually abide by it? And what does it mean to abide by the deal? So I think what happened was Trump wanted to get this done badly. He's got the Nobel Prize in his head. Plus, most importantly, he sees, and there's quotes of him saying this very, very clearly, that his base is slipping away from Israel and from him for supporting Israel. So he wants to just get this out done with already. And how do you get a deal? Everybody knows how you get a deal. Israel withdraws, Hamas surrenders, whatever that means. We'll come back to that. But Hamas does not run Gaza. Some sort of Arab coalition comes in, runs Gaza, and we go on a roadmap to a two-state solution. We've known this forever, for decades. That's the answer, so that's what the Arabs offer, that's what America offers. So the Muslim world and America are aligned on that, right? So now Israel gets offered this, and Netanyahu has a decision to make. He's at the White House. Trump says, that's it, we're doing this, and you're either gonna say no to me in front of the whole world, and then you're gonna be in a lot of trouble, or you're gonna say yes, okay? So Netanyahu, being a smart guy, says yes. And so why does he say yes? Because he thinks, I say yes in English, tomorrow in Hebrew I say no. Right, I say yes to America so I could come back and do hasbara and propaganda here and go, oh my God, I wanted a peace. But those savage Palestinians, let's kill them all. Let's kill them all. They didn't want, we offered peace. This is the oldest Israeli trick in the world. Like they come in, they go give you the worst offer in the world. Like we keep 75% of your land, I'm exaggerating. And then we get to humiliate you, you never get to really have a state. Well, we offered peace, right? So in this case, it's a real offer and they go, okay, well, we'll just undermine it. So the first way that they undermined it is Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff come in, Netanyahu pressures them and they pressure Trump. And they say, okay, well, it was supposed to be a full withdrawal, but okay, Israel doesn't want to withdraw. Well, that's the whole point of the peace deal. So they're gonna have a security perimeter. But today, Netanyahu in Hebrew says not good enough. No, not a security perimeter. We're just not gonna withdraw. So they're gonna give us the hostages in 72 hours. And by the way, the 72 hours, if they hold to it, starts when Israel accepts, which theoretically was yesterday. So the clock is ticking. So they're gonna go, give us a hostage. And then you know what they're gonna do? And Netanyahu's gonna say, what do you mean? I said it in right afterwards that I was never gonna leave. You heard, no way, we're never going to leave Gaza. So this is not a peace deal. It's just a way of saying, give us the hostages back and we're gonna keep killing you. And so.
That's exactly right,
yeah.
That's exactly right. In fact, Gail Talshir, who is a political scientist over at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, said the following: there's a lot of gray area in the deal, and this is how Netanyahu wanted it. He can tell the right wing he will never fully withdraw, and he can show Hamas is the one saying no, and he can continue the war. So, I mean, I just think it's as clear as day. And for anyone who was skeptical about this so-called peace deal from the moment news dropped about it. Congratulations, you live in reality. Now, whether or not Trump is sincere about getting a peace deal done, I don't know and I don't care. Because the common denominator in terms of the failure of these peace deals, of these ceasefire deals, has been Israel. So in my view, if any US official, including the president of the United States, is serious about getting the Israelis to agree to a real peace deal, they would leverage American weapons. But Trump isn't willing to do that, is he? So as long as Trump isn't willing to do that, I don't trust that he's serious about signing a peace deal.
It's been 2 years. Like how are they going to root out Hamas? Like what they are literally multiplying extremists right now. When you kill people's entire family members, that leads to more extremism.
I know you're anti-Israel. I get it.
Okay, you know what? I'm anti-mass slaughter, and that's mass slaughter has been going on for 2 years straight in Gaza and the West Bank.
They were watching.
How many countries has Israel bombed over the last 2 years? Because it's not just Gaza.
Come on.
It's not just Gaza. 65,000 people slaughtered in Palestine and Gaza, and that doesn't matter? That doesn't matter at all. What happened on October 7th was an atrocity, and I've spoken out against it. What I find so interesting is that there's no concern at all for the lives of the Palestinians who have been lost in Gaza at all.
Pete,
tens of thousands of people.
That's why you want to get rid of Hamas, because they are destroying those lives.
What does that mean, though? Do you think they're rooting out Hamas right now? They've leveled the entirety of the Gaza Strip. They've leveled it. They've leveled it.
Pete,
the tallest residential buildings in Gaza, gone.
We have to go, but Anna's question is super important.
It is super important. Anyone who comes at me with, oh, they're just trying to root out Hamas, when the entirety of the Gaza Strip has been leveled, hospitals, mosques, universities, schools, refugee camps, residential buildings. Really, this is about Hamas, or is it about literally demolishing everything that stood in Gaza in order to clear the way for Israeli settlers to come in and settle that land? Come on, I can't stand the gaslighting. When people from the Israeli government say things out loud on a daily basis, I listen and I believe what they say.
Yeah.
That's it.
And believe what they say in Israel, not in America.
In Israel, Israel, yes.
When they go to their base and they're like, we're playing the Americans, bunch of suckers. We're not gonna leave. No way are we gonna leave. The deal says that they're gonna leave. And Netanyahu turns around and goes, no, I'm lying to the Americans. They're a bunch of idiots. You could lie, it doesn't matter, I can lie 24/7, and then I'll get everybody in corporate media to smear anyone who says I'm lying and call them anti-Semites, ruin their careers, that way we're back in charge. So we just smear everyone in America that opposes us. And by the way, we get to arrest them these days, although now there's a ruling against that. Now, okay, Anna said that point about, wait, how do we confirm that Hamas has surrendered, right? And she's the only one I have heard on cable news ever ask that question. So let's just explore that a tiny bit more. So they say, all right, all of Hamas has to surrender and turn in their weapons, and then we're going to take them out of the country and move them somewhere else. How do we know what's all of Hamas? What if 20 people come out, or 200 or 2,000? How do we know that's all of them? What if they bring in 1 gun or 2 guns? How do you know that's all the guns? How do we ever know it's good enough? Okay, now you guys want to guess if Israel's ever going to say it's good enough? If 20,000 Hamas guys all came out and they laid down 7 different weapons and said, that's it, you can kill us, and I know you're gonna move us to another country and then you're gonna bomb that country, like we don't know. Okay, fine, we allow you to murder us, we're gonna leave, and here's our weapons. You know what Israel's gonna say? Oh no, we think there's 40,000 Hamas fighters and we got to only kill 20,000 of them, so no good. 40,000 come out, no, we think there's 60,000. No. It is purposely impossible because they do not want to get to peace other than a piece of land. That is what they're looking for. That's why Smotrich today was like, what the hell, man? We should have taken Gaza quicker. Now we have international pressure. We should have just slaughtered them and taken Gaza for ourselves already. We're moving too slow in this genocide. So that's the kind of monsters the current government of Israel is. So obviously, totally undoable. Last thing that's really important is, and again, I'm gonna surprise you here. I think Hamas should accept it, okay? So why? So from my perspective, well, I want the hostages back anyway. I don't want Hamas to run Gaza. And most importantly though, it takes away Israel's excuse. Right now, they say, no, we get to kill 80 people a day, 100 people a day, 40 kids a day, whatever the number is. We get to slaughter because of 20 people. 20 hostages equals 20,000 kids, 65,000. We can endlessly slaughter as long as you have 20 hostages. Get the hostages back. Give them back and go, hey, we got a deal, and they said they were gonna leave Israel. It's in the deal. It says they were gonna leave Gaza, right? Okay, so we all know what's gonna happen. Israel's not gonna leave Gaza. And then you think, oh, well, they gave up the hostages. By the way, they're getting a bunch of prisoners back and hostages back, right? So theoretically, so you get those guys back. I don't really care about them. I mean, I care about the innocent Palestinians that were taken by the Israelis. And so at that point, you expose Israel for who they are. They're not gonna leave. They're never, ever going to leave. As long as this current fascist right-wing government of Israel is in place, they have said 1,000,000 times, we want to annihilate the Palestinians and take Gaza as part of Greater Israel. So there is no world in which Netanyahu and this government leaves. So call their bluff and then have the world unite with no excuse left at all for the sick terrorist government of Israel, so we could all come together and say enough. They gave the hostages back. It's 2 years since then. It's obvious that you are the colonial imperial army here that is totally wrong and immoral and sick. And for God's sake, let the Palestinians go. Expose them for who they are. I hope that they take the deal and turn in whatever the hell they got, and we move forward.